The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Electric vehicles on Triad Today. Hello everybody, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about them later on, and later on when the roundtable shows up, we'll get into all sorts of controversies with those guys, so stay tuned. Where we want to start though is talking about electric vehicles. We do that with a good friend of mine, Jimmy Flythe, who's Director of Government and Community Relations for Duke Energy, and he brought a special guest with him, Alfred Etheridge, who's Account Executive for Large Customers at Duke Energy. Good to see you guys.
Thanks, yeah, glad to be here.
Jimmy, let me start with you. I'm seeing an increasing number of electric vehicles on the road, but now how practical is it to own and drive them?
Yeah, well, Jim, I get the similar questions from folks, kind of wondering, is it really practical? And Alvin has had an electric vehicle for, I think, 3+ years now. And so I thought, invite him more as not as much as a Duke Energy teammate, but as a EV owner to kind of talk about his experience.
All right, so Alvin, you've been put on the spot now. We're going to take advantage of your expertise as an owner of an EV. Why did you choose an EV and how has it performed for you?
So I'd say there's probably 4 reasons that I purchased the EV. One, the Honda Odyssey had 320,000 miles on it, so we had to buy a new car.
Had the motivator there.
Secondly, I was interested in kind of the O&M cost, so looking at the life cycle cost of the car.
Right.
And the operations and maintenance is much lower on the EV, so I wanted to kind of put that to the test. And third, it's kind of fun and cool to drive.
Sure.
Because it's fast, and so that was probably, and for personal experience.
Well, how has that, you mentioned operational and maintenance costs. How has that been roughly? You don't have to be real specific, but in general, how has it been? You had it for 3 years.
Got 105,000 miles on it now. The only thing I've done is windshield wiper fluid and new tires.
Wow.
So that's...
In 3 years, 100,000 miles on EV. I guess, some folks I've heard say that, well, I was going to get an electric vehicle, but, I just don't know. I take a lot of long trips, and they have what you guys in the industry refer to as range anxiety, and where the charging stations are going to be, that kind of thing. Talk about that anxiety.
So that anxiety is real. I think you do have to think about where you're going to drive, and where, once you get to the destination, you need to think about how you're going to get to charging.
Right.
I will say that I've taken our car particularly, on several long trips. We've been to Miami, driven it to New York, driven it to Nashville. And as long as you're kind of traveling on the main interstates, charging is pretty rarely.
You mean just pull off at gas stations, or usually have them now, or what?
Well, with my car, it has navigation in it, so you punch in the destination that you want to go, and it identifies the charging for you, and it basically maps you right to the
Now, Alvin, when you do pull in and charge, how long does it usually take to charge your vehicle, and how much does it cost?
So on the supercharger network, I would say the average time is probably 15 to 20 minutes. So it's usually enough time to get to the restroom, grab a drink or a pack of nabs,
right,
and you're back on the road. So it's pretty quick.
And cost-wise?
Cost-wise, I would say the most I've paid is maybe $17 or $18.
Okay, so it sounds pretty good. So I guess the big question is, would you buy another one?
Yes, sir, I would. Absolutely. I think there's going to be more models that are coming out, as well as the infrastructure is going to continue.
Plus, Jimmy told you to buy one, didn't he? Is
That's
that all the whole? Jimmy, quickly, you have any final closing thoughts on this whole deal?
Sure. Just to share, Duke Energy is anticipating a lot more electric vehicles. We've already seen a lot. And so, we're preparing for it. And, hopefully later on this year, we'll have some more guests that can kind of talk about what we're doing as a company to prepare for more electric vehicles.
Sounds good, Jimmy. And up on screen, www.duke-energy.com is the website. I hope you will check that out for all sorts of information. Guys, I appreciate what you do, and thanks for the information. Good to see you.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Back now on Triad Today, a first-time visitor to the show and a very special guest is Maria Hicks-Few. She's Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for the City of Greensboro, and more importantly, she went to A&T and UNCG both, so we just think you're great. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. I am wonderful. Thank you so much. I think both schools are great, so yeah.
You're doing both of them proud. Hey, look, talk about your role in overseeing as diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's got to be a lot of responsibility. What goes on?
It is, and it grows, it ebbs and flows. Over the last 10 years that I've actually been back with the City of Greensboro, because that was my first job, leaving the City of Greensboro about 20-something years ago. We are having a ball now because we're doing everything from the affirmative action plan, which we're starting to work on now to make sure that we are recruiting across the nation fairly and equitably. And also we're doing things like our employee resource groups. We have 11 of those.
Yeah, tell me about now what is an employee resource group?
Well, it is a support system for our employees. We have things such as our 40 and under, which we call our emerging leaders group. And for some of them, this is their first job out of college. So instead of just putting them out in the workforce, we actually have this group so they can come together, talk about their shared experiences, and also grow together.
That is so cool because not only are you now making sure that people are hired in a fair and equitable manner, but once they get there, you don't just let them hang. You give them that support that they need. I think that's cool. Now, you also oversee a program. Carla sent me some notes on an email, and she called it says GSO 4, the number 4 word, meaning sort of Greensboro Forward. What is that all about?
Oh, we love that. We joined the Government Alliance on Race and Equity with a few other municipalities, Raleigh, Durham, about 4 or 5 years ago. And this was our graduate project, as I like to call it. And what we did, we came up with a concept where we actually scrubbed all of our policies, procedures, from scratch. If anyone had something new, they ran it by us, and we actually looked at all those policies to make sure that they were fair and equitable. This was during COVID, so it was a little difficult, and one of the ones we're most proud about that is still in existence today is the one for the library, because we actually eliminated late library fees during that period because we didn't feel it was equitable.
So you'll take innovative ideas from anybody, right?
We will.
I just think that's great. What now? Well, I mentioned at the first that you were a graduate of A&T and UNCG. So I guess the question is, what attracted you to stay in the area, and why the City of Greensboro?
Well, like I said, it was my first job. They took a chance on me. I was an intern the summer after I graduated, and I fell in love with the City of Greensboro. They have so many programs, even back then. And I just wanted to make sure that I was one of those people that actually stayed and helped my community to grow and thrive. People are always picking at me saying, yes, that's the City of Greensboro, my classmates. And I'm like, no, I don't want a crown, I don't want a title, but I do my best to try to help people, even help people to get jobs.
You're like a chief cheerleader.
I am. I was a cheerleader back in high school.
You're exactly a cheerleader. And but now, let me just ask you this couple personal questions. What made you want to pursue a career with this focus?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually started off just doing straight recruiting and straight human resources. Right. Then one of the positions that I was in when I left the City of Greensboro actually threw me into doing an EEO plan, which is the start of it a long time ago. So with that particular focus, I said, wow, and it morphed now into diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I know you love your job. What's gratifying about it, real quick?
Helping people and also making a difference for our organization to make sure we're balanced and we're equitable with males, females, young people, old people, persons with disabilities. We make sure we take care of the gamut.
Why were you looking at me when you said old people? No, that's right. All right, up on screen, greensboro-nc.gov is the website. Please check that out. And Maria, I can't thank you enough, not just for being here, but for what you're doing and what you contribute to the city and to everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolutely. And we could talk some more about some of the things we're working on.
Yeah, and some things that we shouldn't talk about,
That's a good thing, yeah.
UNCG people. All right, we'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com. Back now on Triad Today. So glad to welcome this special guest to the program. Matthew Tucker is a physician assistant with Novant Health, Salem Surgical Weight Loss, and Salem Surgical Associates. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
As you know, I don't have to tell you, but a lot of people have made New Year's resolutions, and one of the big ones is, I'm going to lose weight.
Yep.
But there's much to consider. So I guess, first of all, let me ask you, there's a lot of those weight loss drugs out there, pills, injections, the whole deal. First, tell me, what are they and how do they work?
So there's several different weight loss medicines that have been around for a while. The newest ones that a lot of people are hearing about right now are a class of medications we call GLP-1 agonists, and then there's one that's a GLP-1 agonist and a GIP agonist.
Those are the injectables?
Those are the injectables, yes. And so those are the ones that were originally sort of studied and prescribed in diabetes management for type 2 diabetes. And then their weight loss effect was noted and studied, and now they've been released as separate medications specifically branded for weight loss.
In general, do they work okay, do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They do wonderfully. Yeah.
Side effects, though?
Side effects, most of the time it's going to be gastrointestinal, so GI stuff. I see anecdotally in my patients things mostly like nausea related to the dose as they're increasing the dose, bloating, sometimes belching.
We don't allow that on this show. Now, why is it important to separate fact from fiction about all these different medicines? Because you see a lot of ads on TV about stuff too.
Yeah, so I want to make sure always, specifically for the medicines, that people know exactly what they're getting into from a risk and benefit standpoint, what they stand to gain or lose, what they, the risk potentially involved are. But also you always want to make sure that somebody who's entering a weight loss program has an actual sort of goal in mind that's a realistic goal, that's something that you can discuss with them as being attainable and that you can track them on over time so that they're not disappointed, so everybody is satisfied with what's going on.
Regardless of whether you use these medications or not, let's talk about lifestyle for just a second. Well, in general, and everybody's different, in general, what kind of lifestyle modifications could we make to help with weight?
Yeah, and we talk about this in our practice because medicine and surgery are obviously the two things people think of, especially with our name and what we do. But as far as treatment of obesity in general, we also want to target our behaviors, we want to target our diets, and we want to target our physical activity. And so in general, if you can make a goal of increasing your physical activity and also structuring your diet so that it in general has the kind of nutrients that you need in a diet, then you're going to have more success than somebody who just relies on any of these.
Matthew, let me circle back to the weight loss drugs. If I say the injectables or something, if I go off of them for whatever reason, do I immediately start gaining weight?
Well, so there has been one study out that does show that after a year of not being on the medication anymore, those participants did see weight regain compared to the ones who stayed on the medication.
Right. And of course, it's always good to check with your insurance folks because not everything's covered, right?
Yeah, that's very true. So luckily, there are more and more insurances that seem to be covering it. There are still several insurance companies that don't cover it all, and these are pricey medications.
They are. Some of them, the injectables are like $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month. So I guess the last question I have for you is, and since we haven't visited before, who or what led you to a career in healthcare?
Well, so I have sort of always been interested in the healthcare career as far back as I can remember, just sort of being interested in, my family members' health over the years. I ended up in the surgical group after I finished BA school, and I've been there for the last 7 years. And just in the last year, we've done this transition over to sort of bulking up this bariatric program. And so it's been really an honor and an awesome experience to be able to be involved in all of it.
I just think it's great what you're doing. Up on screen, NovantHealth.org is the general website. And under that, I think we're going to put on there for you 277-4380 for Salem Surgical Weight Loss and Salem Surgical Associates in case you want to get in touch with them. They're located in Winston-Salem. Matthew, thanks for everything you do.
Well, thank you so much for having me again.
All right, you come back sometime?
All right, yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Banking is like going for a swim. You don't need all the complicated stuff, but you don't want to feel exposed either. At Truliant, we give you just what you need, so you can manage your money on the go or stop by a branch whenever you need to. It's all about having options, while also keeping life simple, with low rates, free financial advice, and friendly faces. So check out Truliant. We have just what you need.
Back now on Triad Today, and I haven't seen this gentleman in a long time, and he used to visit us regularly here on Triad Today. We're so glad to have him back. Dana Conte is Director of Donor Services for Goodwill Industries in Northwest North Carolina. Good to see you again, sir.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Jim.
For those of us wanting to declutter, now I know usually that's associated with spring cleaning, but in January, a lot of people say, I need to make some changes. So they want to declutter. And they say, well, I'm going to donate a bunch of things to an organization. Maybe they didn't say Goodwill at first, they said an organization. Why is Goodwill the best place?
Well, it is a competitive market. I won't say it's the best place, but it's a place where we are different from others in the donated goods market, right? Meaning that what our mission is it's a hand up mission, right?
Exactly.
Right. So we're helping those who have needs that aren't necessarily urgent where they need a shirt on their back, but they need help to make a career lifelong change. Right. And where we come in is in that mission is that we are situated to take that need that individual has and get them training so that they can stand on their own and be self-supporting.
Right,
so,
and those job training programs you're talking about are very important. I think people at home need to realize too that it's driven by these donations. You want to declutter, you want to get rid of some things, you want to make a donation to Goodwill. Well, it's a great thing for everybody. It helps the whole community because you go in there and make a donation, and then those are sent to your store.
Correct.
And then that helps everybody, right?
Correct. So simply when people ask, it's donate, train, work. People donate, we transform those donations into revenue to provide training programs so that those individuals who are looking to make career changes and could currently have barriers that prevent them from doing what they want to do.
Right, and it's a win-win for everybody because, I mean, as we're talking about, you donate something, that means you get it out of the house, something you didn't need, and then somebody goes into the store and buys it because they can get it at a good bargain, and then the proceeds go to help these programs that Dana's talking about. So everybody benefits and we help people get good careers. Hey, what if I have, are there items that I cannot or should not donate that you just won't accept?
Sure, there are some, particularly baby cribs, mattresses, things of that of infants because of recalls. What I like to say is we will accept anything that's in good working condition.
Okay.
And really for a donor, I think it's more now of educating donors from a mindset, understanding that would you donate it if you knew you were buying it?
Right, okay, right. Yeah, that's a good thing, And also, what if I have a really, really large item, Dana, like a big piece of furniture or something? What about that?
So before COVID, we had internal home pickups. Now we utilize a third party called Resupply, which you can get that information on our website. And it is a fee-based pickup. The money does not go to Goodwill. It is run by veteran. It's a veteran-run organization.
Good cause.
Great cause. Good cause. And but they do come in and from head to toe, they'll get anything that you need.
Things that are too big for me to just put in a car
Absolutely.
or a van, and they'll come and get them. I think that's just great.
And they'll break it down. So if you have stuff that needs disassembling, they'll come in and disassemble it for you.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a great organization.
So like if you've got a refrigerator that works fine or something, they'll come get that too?
Yeah, so even for the residential pickups, if you have items that are not good, they will dispose of it. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so that's great to know. And we'll put up this website here because I want people to learn more about this. Goodwill NWNC stands for Northwest North Carolina. Goodwill NWNC.org. Very quickly before time runs out, when I take things to donate them, are they still tax deductible? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a threshold. We'll give you a receipt. You just turn that in on your taxes, and that'll take care of the tax deduction.
Everybody wins. Dana, thanks for coming.
It's always great to be here. Thanks, Jim.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
Every cookie sold in the Girl Scout Cookie Program helps girls learn lifelong lessons in people skills, decision making, money management, goal setting, and business ethics. It's amazing how much you can learn from a cookie. The Girl Scout Cookie Program. Think outside the box.
Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to our good friends here at Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. Come on out and visit the garden. It's great. There's always something going on. You can also volunteer out here, so I hope you'll do that. We got 3 great volunteers with me right now on my right, but always the political left. Ogie Overman is with us. Bob Shackelford, who was president of Randolph Community College for many years, now has his own Leadership Institute, is with us. Keith Graberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. All right, guys, let's get to it. So far, 25 states have raised their minimum wage, including Republican-controlled legislatures in Florida, Missouri, and Ohio. But here in North Carolina, lawmakers refuse to raise our minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. That affects 55,000 people. Guys, should our state legislature raise the minimum wage, and if so, by how much? Ogie.
Yeah, we're late to the party again, as usual. Yeah, we should have done it years ago. I mean, 10 would be reasonable. 10 is not much at all.
Yeah, what do you think,
At
Bob?
least.
$7.25 is $15,000 a year. Give a year of your labor for $15,000, can't pay any bills.
Right. So what do you think it should be?
At least 10 or 12. I'd go 12.
Keith, should we raise it, and if so, by how much?
I think it should be $12 an hour at least. I mean, $7,
$7.25.
that's slave labor.
All right, California legislators have just enacted a new law that requires stores to offer quote-unquote gender-neutral products such as toys and books for kids 12 years old and younger. Stores who fail to comply will be fined heavily. Critics say that violates the rights of business owners. Guys, would you like to see North Carolina force businesses to offer and sell gender-neutral products? Ogie.
Isn't that a fine, like $500?
$500.
It's like a slap. It's almost symbolic. Like, come on, get with the program. Let's go ahead and.
You're okay with the fine and the? What do you think, Bob? You like to see North Carolina do that?
I don't think they ought to force them to sell anything. The business owner ought to make a decision based on the market.
Keith.
We keep talking about gender neutral. I mean, whatever they like, they like. Pick a product and let's move on it. I don't understand why we need this gender neutral type of marketing. I don't get it.
All right. The chancellor of a Wisconsin university was recently fired because it was discovered that he and his wife had made a sex video and posted it online. The ex-chancellor says the firing violates his right to free speech. Should public employees be fired for appearing in a sex video? Ogie.
I think I ought to be encouraged to say that's out there. I mean, putting it up in public, that's out there.
Are you okay with the firing?
I don't even think I'd do that.
Well, you know, Bob, you've been a public employee for many years, president of a college. What do you think? Was the firing justified?
Not for that reason. I would fire him for poor judgment and for occupying a position of visible leadership and embarrassing his institution.
Well, you had to sign contracts for your employment, right? Yes. So, I mean, was there something in there, a morals clause or something?
There was not a clause in it, but I've made many decisions about recognizing that I am representing not myself, but the college I work for.
Keith, should a public employee be fired for making a sex video?
Yeah, especially if it's a poor sex video.
We've talked about Confederate statues a lot, but the federal government has now ordered a Confederate statue removed from Arlington National Cemetery. Guys, are you okay with that? Because that's a cemetery where they honor soldiers who have died. Ogie?
Well, they said they put it up there for unity.
Right.
I fail to see how a Confederate statue has anything to do with unity.
Remove it, okay, Bob?
It needs to be moved. Any cultural symbol that represents the historical period ought to be in a museum.
Take it out of the cemetery?
Yes, take it out of the cemetery.
Folks in Cordova, Tennessee are up in arms because an elementary school there is allowing members of the after-school Satan Club to hold meetings there. You guys okay with public schools allowing satanic clubs to meet in their building? Ogie.
In an elementary school, that's a bit much. I wouldn't allow that. No, not in elementary school.
I wouldn't target that club, but I would write some standards for all clubs that meet the acceptable community standards.
Keith.
I definitely wouldn't target that club, and I definitely would not want to have them doing those meetings in public places.
Yeah, you've never been to one of those satanic things, have you?
But I saw you walk in one. Anybody that wear boots has
All right, finally, Atlanta Hartsfield Airport now offers a private terminal for wealthy flyers who have a long layover. The cost to enjoy drinks, a shower, and a massage is $4,000. Guys, would you pay $4,000 for an airport massage? Ogie?
We'll never know.
You're not going to tell anybody? Bob, would you?
I will sit in the lobby with a $4 cup of Dunkin' Donut coffee.
That'll do you. Keith, would you pay $4,000 for an airport massage?
You know, they'll pay me to massage me. But you know, they actually have massage places in there for like $60. Why are you going into a private place?
Well, it's a private terminal. We don't want you in the private terminal.
You don't want me in the private
No, I don't
terminal?
want
What
you
else
there.
are they doing in this private
I don't know
terminal?
what it is private.
See, that's the question.
Well, that's all. That is the question. That's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. And speaking of flying, last week a man who was flying economy class in Singapore Airlines got arrested because he had gone around and actually stolen cash, $23,000 in cash from other passengers. The guy said, "Hey, I thought I was eligible for an upgrade." I don't know what that means anyway. All right, that's all for now. I'll see you next week. This is Jim Longworth.